Welcome all. My name is a Machiavellist. I am a Machiavellist and I make Machiavellists. I've only made one so far, but we'll get there, believe me. Anyway, I'm just making this video. Um, I wouldn't say I know I've titled it Let's Solve This, but it's more put my nagging mind at rest. Everybody's got their own theory on it. Everybody thinks they know what happens. Um, I must admit, I was when I was like in the second last or last year of school. Um, when he got shot, I got Me Against the World off a mate, and then about 2 or 3 weeks later, All Eyes on Me come out, and I think I had a few months listening to that, and then he died, and I was, you can't listen to All Eyes on Me properly in 3 months, sort of thing. So, yeah, and I remember at the time, obviously, no internet. These CDs that I was going and getting, I had to go and either know the name of the CD and order it from the shop, or go in and ask if I could go behind because they wouldn't put the parental advisory stuff out on the shelf. So flicking through and finding stuff was always fun in games back in the day. But we got there. We got there. Um, anyway, So obviously, the name that lives in infamy infamy for all of us is old Orlando Anderson, or Baby Lane as I think he's known or was known. That name has stuck with me ever since. So it's gonna take a bit to sort of move my mind on that. Going on from there, obviously I kept buying the albums and that, but just sort of lived the life as you do as a sort of 20 to 30 year old, and let's just say we was trying to live the life Tupac lived as close as possible that I could. So I could only take certain bits of his life and do them, but hopefully I've done him proud. Anyway, now we're back and we're all settled down. I was actually looking for a song, which was I went to America in year 1999, or it might have been 2000. Um, and I bought. It might even have been 98 actually. Yeah, 96. Yeah. Sorry, it would have been 98. 2 years after I left school in 96. Yeah, so it would have been in 98. I went over there and I got a one of the bootleg Machiavelli albums, Machiavelli 2000. It was called. It was just a green disc with Machiavelli 2000 written on it. No. It was in a sleeve. It wasn't even in a case and all that sort of business. So, but there was a great version of When Thugs Cry on it, which is I've now found out to be the OG version. Which is absolute quality compared to, especially to the one that's got the best chorus of any song I think I've ever heard. And just the whole feel and the vibe of that song is unreal. And anyway, I was trying to find it online, found it, and was like, yay, huzzah, huzzah. And then I started, as you do when you get onto YouTube, you're like, oh, I don't think I've heard that song, or I don't think that I've heard that song. And then, since then, about 2, 3 weeks ago, I suddenly downloaded 3 albums I never knew were out, which were all the Machiavelli OG stuff and all the old versions of the stuff they've released since, which is the way I like it. I like the 90s feel, the 90s gangster rap, and the 90s hip hop, especially West Coast. And to me, when they've released like Better Days and Until the End of Time, it's all quality, but for me, not. It doesn't have that vibe of like the situation of when it was made. You know what I mean? I know that's what makes them timeless, but yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I've pretty much been waffling on, but anyway, yeah. So I was looking online, and then suddenly you start like looking into things. I looked at, I'd obviously seen all the malarkey about Keefe D, etc., 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 and I thought, oh, that doesn't ring too far from the truth for me, so I don't really think too much of it. But then obviously you get into the comment sections and look at the wrong video, and then suddenly 2 weeks later you're down a rabbit hole and you don't know what's going, who's coming, whether he's dead, whether he's not, or this, that, and the other. So I thought what I'll do, because I've actually been looking at it for years now, is that I'll try and put the theory in my mind, because there's always been, I know the simplest answer is normally always the right answer, or the solution, but then there's also follow the money, in these sort of things, you got to follow the money. And also there's a few other bits and bobs that have just been nagging in my mind really. Two straight off the bat would be why why wasn't he wearing a vest, and why wasn't he flanked by bodyguards in a sort of, I mean, you would have thought that situation that they put themselves in, it's a couple of hours, they've had a chance to chill out. You would have thought that, you know, I don't know, I just would have been more paranoid as a sort of associate of Tupac that night after that happened. Um, anyway, and other little niggly bits like why it was never sold on the day. You know what I mean? Because it seems to me if they, if they arrested him and they knew, I mean, they'd make it stick if they could, even if they had only a shred of evidence. But they haven't been able to make anything stick on old Orlando Anderson. So yeah, there must be a reason for that, and we'll look into that now. I know plenty of people are ahead of me, and plenty of people will know or think they know or claim to know or this, that, and the other. Um, okay, so yeah, you can probably tell in my voice that I'm not from California. I'm not even from America. If you've got good ear for accents, then you should be able to pretty much put me within 50 miles of where I'm from. Um, Not that any of that matters though, but the point of it is that um, you know I don't know anyone involved with it. I've never spoken to anyone involved with it. I don't really particularly plan on speaking anyone to it. And now I can hear you all, saying, "Why? What? How are you going to do this then?" Well, I'm going to go down an approach of I'm calling it the law of averages, and what it is, if you'll probably find it online somewhere. If I remember, I'll put a little link in the description or something. But the BBC did a program on chance and probability and numbers, etc. It's a three-part series, and on one of them, the guy explains how the average thought of a crowd of non-specialists more often than not beats the specialists, if you know what I mean. And what they did is they went to one of these little, hillbilly farmers fair things where they had like, sheep shearing and, don't know, dog chasing or something like that. And yeah, they had this like guess the weight of the cow little situation on the go. Um, and what they did is they basically had this like prize cow there, and then the expert come along with his little clipboard, who did this for a living and sort of guessed how much he weighed. And then they got something like 50 people in, all in, like none of them experts or anything like just randoms, and then got them all to guess the weight. And it works out that if you average out, the people's, it was closer to the weight than the experts was, if you know what I mean. So that's the route I'm going to go down. Is that um, you know it's basically just going to be sort of, trawling through as much footage as I can find, as much information as I can find, putting it out there, seeing what the two extremes of the situation are, and then finding that line in the middle of where our mean or our average is going to be, you know what I mean? And that's going to be about right for that situation. And hopefully, if we can link it all up, we can come up with a situation, no one's, you're never going to make everyone happy, but as long as it clicks right in my mind, I know it'll click right in a lot of people's mind. Because again, I'll explain it. It's not so much that I don't believe what the main gist of it is, but there's just a few little nagging things in my mind that are just kind of like, it just, it's 98% accepted theory, the one that we all think. But there's just a couple of percent that in my back of my mind that are just, just getting a little itch there. So I want to try and scratch that itch if I can. It may end up that I go through it once and I'm pretty happy with what's happened. And yeah, that's it. I can't see no reason why not to. Or it could end up that we go in and we end up looking at a few different things and the different players, and we'll get deeper and deeper in it how we go. So yeah, we'll see how that plays out. Hopefully it'll be all right. I'm hoping there's enough footage and interviews and archive stuff, and that it's all on the net now, and that maybe even, not necessarily, I'm not going to ring up people and ask to speak to them, etc., 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 because I don't believe anyone. So yeah, I'm not going to believe someone just because I spoke to them, but I want to get a little feel for it, and see how much information I can find on it, each subject, and we'll pass our judgment and see how it fits in the end. Right, let's crack into it.